When you want to illustrate a concept, you can use a symbol or photo, clip art, or even a shape. But when you want to illustrate a group of numbers, then you should naturally reach for a chart. There are two ways to insert charts in Microsoft Word documents. In either case, we're going to be using Microsoft Excel as the tool to create charts because it's what it does best. First, I might already have a chart that someone sends me or that I've created in Excel that I can use to illustrate the concept in this document. I'm going to switch to my Excel workbook, and here I have a wonderful chart on the headquarters headcount that I'd like to use to illustrate this. I'm going to include the table in the document, but I'd also like to include this chart. The chart is formatted, of course, with colors based on the theme in Microsoft Excel. If I want to know what that is, I can quickly go to page layout and notice that it's our custom 2 trees report theme that we created. I'm going to select and copy this chart, then return to Microsoft Word. Position my insertion point and then paste my chart in. I can either click the down arrow on the paste button to get my paste options, or I can right-click and choose paste options and review them here in the document, which is kind of nice. There are 3 ways that I can paste this. The first thing I can do is I can make a copy of this chart and its supporting data, and unfortunately, perhaps all of the data in this workbook. If there are 25 worksheets in this book, I'm going to have them all if I make either of the choices that embed this. Not only that, but it's a copy. This isn't connected to that workbook anymore. It just scoops the whole workbook up and stuffs it into Microsoft Word so that it can show me this chart and so that I can edit this chart using Excel's chart tools. So one choice is to embed this as it would appear using the theme in this document. My second choice is to embed it in exactly the same way, but to retain the original theme for Microsoft Excel. Both of these choices put a whole workbook in here, even if we rarely see it. The next 2 choices allow me to use Excel's tools for editing, but rather than embedding the entire workbook, they create a link to this chart and this chart's data in the original Excel workbook. So I can use the theme in this document, but grab the data and the chart from Microsoft Excel. Or I can grab the data chart and the formatting from Excel. Any of these first 4 choices allow me to edit this chart. If I embed it, I'll be editing it here in Word, the local copy. If I link it, I'll be editing the chart back in Excel. The plus here is that if my Excel data changes, so will my chart. Here, if I want to change the data, I'll need to do it here in this copy in this Word document. I have one more choice I can make, and that is to say that I actually don't care about future changes in the data, and I don't need to be able to edit this chart. This chart is fine the way it is, and I want a picture of it. If I do this, I only get one button. There's not a choice to use the destination formatting because this is almost the same as if I had used the screen clipping feature, which we will see later in this chapter, to take a picture of this chart. This is how the chart looks in Excel. This is how the chart is going to look here. So I'm going to choose embedding the chart with the original formatting. After I paste, no matter how I paste, I will have a Paste Options drop-down that I can use to open the Paste Options list, and I can change my mind. So even if we undo and I simply paste, no other choice, Control-V or paste, I can still make any and all of those choices here on the Paste Options drop-down button. Because I've chosen using the destination theme and link to the data, that is the default choice, by the way, if I make no other choice. Now I have just a light copy here in this document. I don't have the whole workbook, and if in the future the numbers are changed or the chart is changed in Microsoft Excel, that will be reflected here. This is good and this is bad. Here's the upside. If the data changes, I get a chart that's absolutely up to date. Here's the downside. If somebody renames the workbook, hides the workbook, or puts it in a location that I can no longer access, this chart will still be frozen in time as if I had simply embedded it in the first place, and it won't be linked anymore, and I might not notice that it's not. The benefit of choosing picture, by the way, there is one huge benefit. is that when I choose picture, I get an image that I can size and that will look good at any size. So if I care the most about how crisp my images look here in this document, and I'm satisfied with the quality of the information from the Excel workbook, choosing picture is a very good choice for me. Now, what if I have data and I don't have a chart? Well, it's very easy to insert a chart here in Word. So I'm going to make a space for my chart. I'm going to go to Insert and choose Chart. I'm going to choose a chart type. This is a familiar Microsoft Excel dialog box, and I'm going to choose a type that we haven't used so far so that this chart will look different. And I'm going to say OK. And Word resizes itself, opens a small workbook on the right-hand side, and shows me my chart. This is a sample chart in the style I chose. Here is the data. It's just sample data. I want to substitute my data here for this data. I could either begin typing, which would work just fine, if I added different numbers and different words. So if I don't already have a table, I could go in and create one. I could create a table of states like California and Nevada and Oregon, and I could put in different terms, like I could put in rosemary oil. And notice that it changes the chart. So typing works here, but I don't need to type. I actually have my data. So I'm going to select my data here in Word and copy it. I'm going to paste that data here in Excel. I can format this in Excel if I wish, but I really don't need to because I have the chart that I want. Now, the last thing that I can do is I can choose to save this workbook, which is really simply my data, as a separate Excel workbook. If I choose File, Save As, I can save it. If I simply close Excel, then a copy of that workbook is actually placed in my Word document so that I can edit this as easily as I could edit any other chart that I created. So here's my table, here's my chart. If I want to edit this chart and I click, notice that I have chart tools, 3 tabs of them: Design, Layout, and Format, the same tools for design and layout that I would actually see in Microsoft Excel. These are Excel's tools with edit data, change chart type, for example. So if we wanted to have some pointy little trees next to each other, we could do that. I can change my formatting for my chart so that it's all in different shades of green, for example. Nice olive colors. I can save this as a template. I can change my chart layouts. And I can format any of the text or elements that are in my chart. I also have the ability, of course, because this is an object, to wrap text around it and to position it as I would a picture. My picture, on the other hand, only gives me picture tools. And there's the difference in the choice that I made to paste this particular chart as a picture. If you already have a chart in Excel, it's simple to copy and paste that chart into Word as a picture, an embedded object, or a linked object. But if you need to create a chart and you just know even a little bit about how to create a chart in Excel, it's wicked easy to create that Excel chart and insert it directly here without ever leaving your Microsoft Word document.